Yeah, and this week there shouldn't be any audio issues. So this way I can actually talk to you guys and get around my little place here, doing this stuff and things like this. So yes, I'm actually set up this week. But now let's get to what we were going to do. Back at the news desk. Haha, love it. So welcome back. Thanks for joining. If you're joining, we've got some stuff to talk about. Obviously, Kim Belair's back in the news. She's fired Chris Kindred this morning too, which broke earlier for me Monday morning, which is, of course, in the future, thanks to you guys living in the past, which you should stop doing, seriously. I mean, get on my time zone. Seriously, come on, what's happening? Anyway, Kim Belair, back in the news, went to the XOXO festival. The Hearts and Hugs and Kisses, I guess is what that means, because they're all, toxic positivity and stuff like that. That's a new word that started, new phrase. It's been around for a while, but it's starting to get around again because of things like the XOXO festival. Hang on, that's the wrong one. Anyway, so, yeah, Kim was at the XOXO festival crying victim again and saying, oh, we became the victims of such horrible harassment after my employee that she fired at some point in the last 24 hours. And from what we're hearing, it's probably because he was the worst of the worst when it comes to social justice warrior-y, Alyssa McCante type shenanigans, I guess, or, being an asshole, maybe. So anyway, we're going to have a look at what Kim said and go from there.
So welcome to the stage, Kim Belair.
Hello, I'm Kim Belair. In my circles, I'm largely considered, I think,
Hello.
a relatively nice person. These are my dogs, Sage and Flaky. These are my cats, Tag and the Gray Boy. I really enjoy Lego. I collect
Yeah, lots of people like Lego. So what?
skulls and taxidermy. And I also
People have weirder hobbies. I used to deal with flat earthers.
really like playing a lot of video games, including Elden Ring. By day,
Okay, cool. Humanizing yourself. Great. You seem like a very nice person, Kim. What else you
I am the crazed CEO of Sweet Baby Inc., the DEI-obsessed censorship mafia.
Ah, look at this. DEI obsessed, insane. I wouldn't go that far, but holy crap, look at this.
Who is currently ruining and wokeifying all of the video games that you've ever played.
Well, how many? In a minute here, she'll say she's been involved with 80-odd games with Sweet Baby. So, which other ones, besides the ones on the now stripped-down website, have you done?
Thank you.
That's insane to me. Like, these people are nuts.
Thank you. It's hard work.
Applauding this shit.
If you haven't heard of Sweet Baby Inc., thank you. That's actually how I prefer it.
Why is that, Kim? Do you prefer not being heard about? That's kind of a strange thing to say when your company relies on, getting other companies to pay you for your consultancy work, and I'm using the air quotes here.
But if you have, it's either because of the over 80 amazing and off.
Okay, now straight away, that one there, right? Usual June, right there. Self-insert right there. And it's not the first one that's, like, again, went over this last time I streamed. The new Suicide Squad, Justice League character, Lawless, I think its name is, looks exactly like this too. This is a Kim Belair self-insert.
An award-winning games that we've worked on, or actually one of those, Usual June, was at this very conference.
Yep.
So yeah, you've either heard us from all of these wonderful.
But of course, she likes to put herself into all of the stories that she tells, and that she told us that herself at some point.
Games, or perhaps you're familiar with.
Now this is awesome. There's Chris right there up in the top right sort of corner, right there, hidden away. But all of these other thumbnails from people that have made videos about this shit, this is just, she's reveling in the glory of it, I think.
With the nearly
weird way to find yourself wanting to get publicity, but okay.
The year-long hate campaign that has been waged against us as a team. Unfortunately, today.
No, I don't think that's the case.
I'm here to talk about that in a talk I'm going to call What Happens When You Get Harassed? A Sweet Baby Story.
When you get harassed. I'm going to start. You weren't harassed. I don't think you have been harassed. I think what do they call it? What do you guys call it? Accountability. I think some accountability has been requested. I don't think you've been harassed, though.
Be getting Who is Sweet Baby Inc? We are a narrative development company, and we are a team of narrative developers.
Story, okay.
What that means is that we do script writing.
Hey, you know what? I asked last week what these guys actually do, and it's great to hear this from Kim herself.
Storytelling, narrative work for video games, and
We got script writing, narrative design, story development, cultural authenticity, punch-ups and edits, writers' rooms and workshops, narrative production, and more. Cool. So you do actually do a few things. So that means you do actually change the stories of things and do things like, oh, I don't know, race swap Angrboda from Nordic mythology into a black girl? Okay.
sometimes that means that we come in for writing punch-ups.
I think that's what the and more bit is.
Sometimes that means we're the entire writer's room for a project. Sometimes that means we're coming in very, very early on and helping them start the groundwork, the world building.
And
but what I want to really stress is that all of our work focuses very heavily and very seriously on story. That is what,
So again, when you say it,
what narrative development is. We started out in 2018, but it was really in 2020 that we kind of came to any kind
what happened in 2020?
of industry prominence, and it was on a backdrop of the COVID quarantine sending everybody home from the office. Me Too sweeping through the games industry as various bad actors were named and shamed appropriately.
Yeah, Zoe Quinn, I remember, had some things to say about Me Too and ended up causing someone to take their own life. Alec Haloka, sorry. Alec Haloka. Horrible story. Zoe is a horrible person.
I should say. And also the Black Lives Matter protests were in full swing. At the time, the industry was kind of responding.
Which the BLM organisers and the people that were up in there, their mansions, I remember they got a few mansions and stuff like that.
In the way you might imagine, with a lot of corporate overpromising, but within the writing sphere, there were a lot of offers for portfolio reviews. Like, hey, if you're a marginalized or especially a black dev, we would love to give you a portfolio review. And I want to say I love portfolio reviews. It's something that we also do at Sweet Baby for free. So if anybody in the audience right now is looking for a little bit of a portfolio review or wants to talk about video games, we'd love to do that. But the problem.
Here we go with the problem with that, though.
The problem with portfolio reviews is that they also assume that it's a meritocracy, right? They assume the problem.
Oh, they assume it's a meritocracy. So what? Getting a job in a development company isn't going to be based on merit? Oh, well, that's how I thought most companies ran. They hired the best people for the job. I might be wrong on that.
Is your portfolio and not the fact that maybe there's a lot of other reasons that you are not getting the gig. So knowing that there were a myriad problems to be solved, we created an email.
A myriad of problems to be solved. Now, look, I might be wrong here again. I could be. I'd like someone to point out if I am. Please do. But a meritocracy sort of, again, involves getting the best people for the job. And the problem with, hang on.
Email called talk@Sweet Baby Inc. And we just said, hey, if you're a developer who wants to get into the industry, if you're someone who's already in the industry and you want to talk, just talk to us. And so in that year, we ended up with a lot of people who we connected to, and we talked a lot about advocacy. We talked a lot about helping people get into the industry, and we also talked a lot about the importance of telling stories from a variety of perspectives, and especially of having.
Here's the problem, though, Kim. See, if people are going to do what you do and put themselves in all those stories, other people don't want to see those. I don't want to read a story, or I don't think other people would be very interested in here. I mean, I could probably come up with a story about a bio-boosted squirrel that ran around killing or taking care of horrible otherworldly threats to society, whatever. Anyway, I could probably come up with a better story and include something that's not me, because I don't care. Don't want to see myself in a video game. I don't have superpowers or am Batman or something like that. It's not what I play video games for. It's to escape.
Those writers and those creators in the room to help you with that. And as we joined new conversations, as we worked on more projects, more people joined our team. And so in that year, or in those subsequent years, we grew from a team of only 5 to a team of 16 incredibly talented people. And during that time, as you might imagine, a lot of game teams were looking for guidance, both in terms of narrative, but also in terms of learning how to tell diverse stories and feature diverse characters. And so naturally, because we were kind of in that conversation, we helped them. Throughout the years, again, we worked on, as I said, a ton of games. For most of these, we did...
Again, now, so a ton of games. She only lists these ones up here, and if you go to their website, which isn't looking so hot these days because... Let's have a look at that. So they've stripped it down. They've got usual June up there. Again, first thing, Kim's self-insert there. Then we've got Spider-Man 2. These are the major ones that people sort of knew about from the list. The Cabrutus Rainbow's list goes a lot further than this. And, you know, hopefully has upwards of the 80 games that she claims they've got out there that are award-winning. Which ones are those? Besides, I guess, Spider-Man. Alan Wake didn't win anything. Maybe God of War. I don't know. I don't know what one. I don't follow the Game Awards at all, and I don't really care about the Game Awards. But anyway.
Writing, story development. Sometimes we just kind of came on and did spot checks. But the thing that genuinely made me really, really proud of all of us was that we were living up to the title that I had wanted to. We were becoming true narrative developers, capable of taking on pretty much any task as far as it touched story on any project at any time. And
so at this point, she felt like she could go in, do what she wanted, do what they wanted, I don't know, and get away with it. So why has there been such a big backlash against your company, Kim, and the things that you do amongst gamers and, you know, gamers in general? Or pop culture, I would even go as far as, because this involves pop culture as well, all of the shit that goes along with that.
That expertise was a result of all the different kinds of work that we were doing. For those not in the industry or not familiar with it, most game writers in their entire careers will see 5 to 10 projects as just, you know, a lifetime. And we would see that many projects in a matter of months. And what happens when you work on that many projects and you get to see the inside of so many processes is that you don't learn necessarily like, oh, here are the ins and outs of working in this specific company. You instead hyper-focus on narrative and all of its parts. And you get really good at it. You get really, really specific at it, and you become craftspeople. And funnily enough, as far as this company is concerned, that was actually my end game. I wanted us to become craftspeople because when I was a kid, I learned a lot about Carrie Fisher. And beyond her acting career, she was actually a very respected script doctor in Hollywood. And I remember finding that...
Now, that's something I actually didn't know about Carrie before I watched this, and that's props to her. She was great. Miss Carrie. Wish she was still here.
That's so fascinating and really, really striking because, quite famously, she was someone who struggled a lot with the eye of fame. But it was so comforting and interesting to hear that in this community of artists and writers, she was deeply respected just for her craft. And if I'm being honest, just as a creative myself, that's all I've really ever wanted. I've never wanted to be known by audiences, really. I have never wanted to...
See, now that's weird. Like, if you're going to go writing in video games and stuff like that, a lot of them aren't going to want, I guess, a lot of recognition. But again, Kim seems very cagey when it comes to publicity. She's happy to have a, Instagram full of pictures and whatever else, and she's going to go on in a minute and claim that, all of the workers were getting doxxed and harassed and rah, which, again, don't do it. If you are one of those people that go and do that, don't bloody well do it. It's not right.
Be known by gamers, certainly, and
we'll get there.
I've wanted to be... I have wanted to be known by game devs and writers especially. I want teams and studios and writers and...
Which, let's not forget, Kim came from Ubisoft, so they know who they are. And look at how Ubisoft's going at the moment. Not real good.
And creatives to think of us when they need a hand, when they want that more support. I want to be a game dev's game dev, and that's where I hoped it would be, but that is not what happened. Because...
Ooh, it's not what happened because we'll see.
In October of 2023, we had about 70 games under our belt at the time, but two of them, two very, very big ones, were about to drop within a week of each other.
Yep.
So on October 23rd, there was
Alan Wake, which has only sort of recently just remade its money, and Spider-Man 2, which didn't sell and hasn't sold as many as the first one, and I'm still not going to pick it up even when it comes to PC because, no.
Spider-Man 2, and then on October 27th, there was Alan Wake 2, both big AAA games, and we had worked on narrative and character for both of them with literally years of work on Spider-Man 2. And
this is where I'd like to point out, Spider-Man, I think I said this last week too, Spider-Man is my all-time favorite superhero of all time. I've always been a Spider-Man fan since as long as I can remember, since even before I remember being a Star Wars fan.
We would finally get to announce them. We were very excited. In retrospect, we were actually like comically excited because we had a couple thousand.
And then Chris Kindred happened.
Followers at the time, mostly game devs, and we were like, okay, it's time to stand up and be proud of our work. Wow, this is gonna be really nice. And I remember even thinking that morning as we made these posts, like, I wonder if anyone's gonna notice that, like, we posted about Spider-Man, we're also posting about Alan Wake. Like, will anyone put it together? Because I think our way of working at Sweet Baby, the kind of like teamwork that we do on so many different games, is really, really unique. I think it's really cool. I think people will be excited about it and about our craft. So I decided to do a cheeky Google and see, like, hey, had anyone put that together? The Google
It went bad. Oh boy, did it go bad.
Went bad. I shouldn't have done it because rather than any praise or people going, wow, how did you do it? Or just, hey, a narrative development company, what does that mean? I'm really interested. We were instead found by kind of 4chan and the worst people on Twitter.
Nope. You just came to light. That's not what happened.
And looking back, there is a funny element to it where I go...
BlackRock, here we go. Basically a branch of BlackRock that consults on ESG and gaming. And we're going to get to that later on. That's the introducing bit. I've got something to show everyone that I don't think anyone else has touched on yet. So anyway, we've got, if you ever thought modern AAA feels written by exactly the same people, it's because they basically are. At this point it is. Every AAA American game studio has been outsourcing their games, writing this shitty ESG obsessed. I mean, yes. All of these comments are true. I don't see what is a lie here.
Like, people were kind of talking like, I've discovered a secret Canadian company. Like, these are the guys who did it. And the discovery that they had made was actually like our public-facing website that we advertise our services on, and which you can go to right now if you'd like to collaborate with us.
And this is where I think she's actually getting desperate for people to come and pay the bills.
Just learn more. It's not hidden.
It's
and
not
if
hidden,
it is, it's...
But it's not hidden? Oh. Except, okay, so where do we find it? Now, anyway. I bet you I know where we could find it.
Very bad because it sits at sweetbabyinc.com. But literally within a few hours of me seeing that first post, we were not only being accused of, forcing a black person into Alan Wake, which one is cool, but we...
Saga was originally white in the original trailer that we saw that way back when. She wasn't a black girl she was written to be white. You guys race swapped her. Which, I don't understand why. Make your own characters. Introduce a new FBI character that was working with Saga. Maybe you could, but then again, she would have said, oh, another fucking white person telling me what to do.
We didn't do, and also of putting pride flags into Spider-Man's New York, which, again, so good, love to see them, but we were not responsible for them. But suddenly we were being told that we were, funded by BlackRock, and that actually we weren't a...
Well, I mean, that's what people get with, where other companies get their ESG funding from. They say they've employed you guys.
Narrative development company. We were a DEI company, some kind of vaguely defined like censor, and that we were here to use all of the power we had amassed to force companies to go woke. And obviously that's a very baffling understanding of what work for hire is. I'm not sure how they imagine we did it or how the contracts would be drawn up for it, but it kind of didn't matter because it just kept evolving and spinning out of control, and suddenly the conspiracy was just alive. They were finding photos of us, sometimes our families or our contractors. They were doxing me and other members of the team.
Not doxing. If you're publicly available, you can be publicly looked up. That's simple as that.
Anyone calling these attacks out as doxing was accused of doxing themselves or lashing out. That's me. I'm the CEO. I have issues.
Yeah, we know.
But yeah, this went on for weeks and then months. At its peak, which was somewhere around February, March of this year, we were getting something like 300 emails a day, which Admittedly, some of those are going to be spam or bots or whatever it is, but they were often
Yeah,
accompanied
spam
by
bots
death
and
threats,
just
threats to our
death threats, and here we go,
family.
yeah,
We did have
even though
one
they're
bomb
bots.
threat made to the police that they contacted
don't
us
do that.
about. And at the, at best, the nicest thing you
Threats and threats and actual harassment, no go. So saith the squirrel. We all know this. Don't do it. That's just stupid. Again, just do things like this. Look at what they're saying and disagree with it, because we all know this is a lie.
you would see in some of these spaces was that we were a punchline, but any defenders were really, really shouted down quite quickly. And in moments when this movement
Indeed, it
couldn't
has
think of
gone on
like
for 2
another
more
reason
years,
to
Dav. Many years at this point.
attack us, they would just kind of move on to other groups who they perceived to be like us, all while doing the work of erasing all of those people's and our actual jobs and interest, and papering over it with kind of that rallying cry of far right supremacy, DEI. And
Not a rallying cry. Again, you deal with customers outside of the USA and Canada. Okay? This shit doesn't apply to everyone outside of the USA and Canada. I would sort of put it in there as well, even though it's far northeast Australia. So say the squirrel.
as ridiculous and stupid as it all was, I actually was not prepared for the escalation of it when noted buffoon and Twitter CEO Elon Musk decided that he would chime in with his very cool thoughts.
Oh, you mean after Chris Kindred tried to get Cabrutus's Steam Curator page and account banned and the games on it, the thousands of dollars worth of games, stop him from being able to access it? No, that's not what happened, Kim.
Yeah, some very cool, very good thoughts in there. Lots to.
Got to be positive and, that's not very nice. The toxic positivity, come on. Take some criticism, for fuck's sake. Sorry, I got to stop swearing. I've actually took some criticism on board, and I've tried to cut back the swearing. That's the first F-bomb, but we're well inside the 20 seconds or whatever it is. YouTube will can me.
Think about. So this was hard the whole time. Like, not since the beginning, it wasn't great, but we were receiving countless emails, all this constant hate. It was targeted
No, that's not what was happening.
enough to feel disconcerting, even when it was kind of silly, and it was also kind of drowning out the support. But when Elon chimed in.
Now, again, the drowning out the support. So if you're not getting supported as much as you're being criticized, doesn't that mean you should probably listen to the criticism? I'm just saying, it might behoove you somewhat well to do that.
And it really made me realize the scale of it, because the richest man in the world was suddenly turning like the Eye of Sauron onto 16 people.
No, Chris Kindred turned Elon Musk's eye onto you guys, so he can be considered the Eye of Sauron in the first place, if you really have to go there.
Trying to make a pretty modest living in the
modest living. Now, this is where I laughed when I first saw this. Modern living, and yet I remember them, what was it, 7 million from Game Science? They wanted to come in and fix the representation in there and turn a game about a monkey that hit things with a stick into something else? Okay, that's modest, real modest.
Industry that they love, and he was arguing for
80 plus games, let's say $7 million a pop. Like, whichever. We'll have to go back and maybe find some numbers on that, but it's at 80 times 7 million. That's a hell of a lot of millions. Our
collapse. And this meant that, it was when this happened and when it got bigger than this, you can tell I got it early as a screenshot, but yeah, it made us realize that this was huge. We were being attacked in a massive and coordinated campaign of harassment, and that sucks. But it does get me closer to the question of what happens when you get harassed.
Well, you weren't harassed. You weren't harassed. I'm sorry. You were just looked at more. You weren't harassed. You were starting to be criticized. That was the problem.
So first of all, just as a spoiler, like what happens when you get harassed is it sucks. I can't recommend it. If I had to rate the experience, like 1.5 stars.
Yeah, none of this happened. The XOXO talk, yeah, is happening right now, but richest man in world does a curse on you? What? No, that was Chris. Chris Kindred brought attention to your little company and the shit that you do. Sorry.
It's probably...
I mean, it's a good thing you sacked him. Her? I'm not sure what Chris
it's not
what they identify as.
the best. But more specifically, what happened during all of this, if I can kind of dig down into this review, is, we lost our voice. And we didn't just lose our voice as a collective, we lost our voices individually because people on our team were either hounded off of social media or, they get attacked so consistently that it just becomes frustrating to use. It's not enjoyable to hop on anywhere and get that wave of hate.
Okay, you know what? I think I've had enough of this blather. That's just, look, she keeps going on. She gets, like, look, I'm going to double time it here. I'll keep going. I'll put it up to 1.2. Where do I find that? Yeah. 0.5.
Hate, so within Sweet Baby, beyond what we do for work, there are authors, there are comic book creators, there are TTRPG creators, game designers, people who have other work that they
So they've infested a lot of other things.
They want to share with the world, that they should be allowed to share with the world, but
Yeah,
just for
that's
existing within
fine.
our company.
Look, got no problem with them sharing with the world, but just don't force crap down our throat that this shit existed before you guys came in. Well before, and we had representation of just about everyone you could think of in the world. Didn't exclude anyone until you guys came in and said, oh, now you have to comport to our rules or get out.
Need us for work.
Fuck you. Second F-bomb.
On the games that they do, they were attacked. Even contractors, people who literally worked with us for a spot check, a week or a couple months. But there was really nothing we could do. And as silly as it is, and as little as I know.
Actually, there was something you could have done. You could have denounced what Chris did on the spot and said, no, don't agree with what Chris Kindred has tried to say here and get this guy Cabrutus from Brazil. Have him cancelled. But you didn't. You didn't do that. So that's on you.
Miss the current Twitter as little as I regret leaving it. The loss of frivolity and frankly dumb bullshit is actually a little soupçon of dehumanization. Because I would love to post a picture of my latte or my dogs without people going oh, I guess coffee is woke now, and hey, that dog is pretty gay. But
I mean, don't be so up in arms about this sort of militant shit.
We weren't allowed. We are no longer allowed to be in the conversation without what amounts to mass targeting. Look at him up there. And don't get me wrong. People did defend us. Some very, very great folks, like often writers, game devs, people who we had worked with, people we had not worked with, who could see this thing for what it was. But while I appreciated the defense and the team appreciated it so much, that support is still really hard to feel in the panic of the moment. And so instead, I felt really guilty.
Okay, so it's like, what, the lack of support, does that maybe mean that not as many people as you thought agree with you, maybe? No, just putting that out there.
I felt responsible. I felt bad, not for doing the job that I love, but for building a space that was meant to be protective and creative for a bunch of people and having it turn into something that...
Oh, your exclusionary little circle got criticized. Boo-hoo.
Through no fault of our own, saw my friends and my loved ones and my colleagues and my coworkers just viciously and brutally hurt. I felt bad for making a company at all. I felt bad for believing in it and for speaking on it. People would come up to me, especially at events like I went to DDC, and they would very kindly tell me that they were inspired by me or by us and by our collective strength and our resilience. And I would say thank you so much, but deeply I would feel very ashamed. Which intellectually I know is wrong, right? We are doing something good. We are writers and designers of tremendous skill and tremendous experience, and we've never censored anything, nor have we ever wanted to. Frankly, if you really want my opinion, I think largely games could be hornier. I think they should be darker. I think they should be stranger.
And yet, what?
At the core of my approach here...
How does that work? So, what? How does that work exactly? So why did you go put a deaf girl in as Miles Morales' girlfriend that spray painted on walls and a gay side quest where one guy wanted to ask another dude to prom? How is that? That's not dark. Might be somewhat safe horny for you guys. I don't know.
And the approach that we take as a company, I genuinely believe that representation is not censorship, it is innovation. Diversity in narrative makes things more intense. It can make it more visceral and more real. It doesn't have to always make something more wholesome or softer. I really do believe that by opening up to new perspectives, by getting...
see that, yes, everyone has always been in there. Cammy is British. Chun-Li is Chinese. The guy from Prototype 2 was black. I can't remember the game, but I mean, Christ. Barrett from Final Fantasy. Give me a fucking break.
Getting folks in the room, we actually push more boundaries and we get more real. But what happens when you get harassed is it doesn't matter what you believe. What's also frustrating is that it doesn't matter what they believe either, because so much of this campaign is just misinformation. It's assumptions and lies about who we are, what we do, and what we want.
We can actually see with our own ears and eyes and read what's going on, like Ubisoft stock price falling. What's going on with that? Yeah, we see what you're doing and we don't like it. We're trying to tell you that. Don't force shit down people's throats. Don't care what you look like. Make a game. Go ahead. Just don't make it for a select group of people that are a vocal minority, literally a vocal minority of the consumer base of these things, because that's not how you're going to make money. And you're finding that out the hard way.
Games, as I said before, and I think that's pretty cool, but to them it's something closer to 200. We have our little fingers, our woke little fingers, in every pie in this industry.
Yep. And that's what it sounded like. So, yeah. And she doesn't once mention Chris Kindred and how he started Gamergate 2 and amongst any of this. So we're going to move on. Of course, we've got Chris Kindred's little Facebook post protected. Still got Sweet Baby Ink listed up there. Some people are saying it's not the case. But anyway, on that one he is. I had one here. No. Yeah. So, Chris is protected. Kim, protected. Sweet Baby Ink, protected. All protected at the moment. Have to follow them if you want to see what's going on. Sweet Baby Ink have shut down, and the only way you can contact them is by clicking this. There's nothing else on here, except for the games people already knew about. Okay, so cool. Let's move on. Let's introduce the other thing that I wanted to go about before. We've got Larry Fink from BlackRock, and I know BlackRock isn't...
You now make a point of, that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year.
Diverse employment, ESG, DEI.
What we are doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay?
Right there. If you don't do this, your monetary incentives could be impacted.
What we are doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay?
We're doing the same thing.
And so
we're doing the same thing.
You have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team.
I don't understand what he means when he says these things, though. Like, what does that mean? What the hell does that mean?
You're going to be impacted, and that's not recruiting. It is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities, and we're going to have to force change.
Okay, I, again, don't know what any of that crap means, but introducing the Amplifier Game Invest Group. About us, so... Amplifier here start off by saying, I have to increase that. Since 2016, we've been hard at work finding and investing in some of the most talented startup teams in the game development industry. We believe we have found a unique way to help teams grow and reach their vision. Now, right underneath that, we've got financing, long-term commitment, experience and passion, and then LGBTQIA+++ down here. Which sort of set my squirrely hairs going, hey, something's not quite right here when I first saw this a couple of weeks ago, actually. Meet the Amplifier team. Real diverse looking group we got there. Oh, well, so diverse. Look at how many different diverse. We got a brightly red-haired coloured girl here in the middle. Got someone on the side here that I don't know if they're male or female or just, fat. Fat's a thing, obese, whatever. This guy might have drunk all the soy in the office before he came in. I mean, this guy looks okay in the middle, and the blue jumper down the bottom here. Doesn't look too bad. Meet our partner studios. These ones, it's like, I mean, this group sort of got my interest because of their association with Embracer Group, which are these guys. This is Embracer Group's ESG fact sheet. So, I mean, this goes back to saying, well, Larry's saying we've got to force these behaviors and force these things upon companies, otherwise their impact is going to be they're going to be monetarily impacted. So Embracer Group is all over the world, and god damn it, look at all of Australia and New Zealand is infested, so we're going to have to... Anyway, our sustainability work. Updates from the first quarter. UN Global Command, Compact Gender Equality accelerator program enrolled. Australia's not part of the UN. How does that work? Okay, anyway. S&P Global Assessment submitted. Internal corporate sustainability reporting launched. I mean, summer camps supporting youngsters and girls groups performed. What does that mean? Youngsters and girls groups? So what? Huh? I don't get that. Webinar series during Accessibility Week in May was shared across the group. We'll have to, and you could go and look at all of this. I mean, right there, there's the link for it. Embrace a group's own thing. I'll drop all of these links down in the comments section below as well when I'm finished this. So yes, Amplifier are very heavily involved with Embrace a Group, and I think might have very similar values to the likes of Sweet Baby Inc. and Black Girl Gamers and the rest of the other groups that you've heard about that are linked to this ESG, DEI thing going on. So yeah, that was the introducing. I thought I'd break this and see if someone else picks it up and maybe it gets bigger. Hopefully that's the case. But these guys seem to be pretty heavily involved in ESG and DEI. I mean, if they're with Embracer, they're going to have to follow these, the ESG playbook that they have. Long-term commitment, experience, passion. Amplifier team looks very white. They're in Sweden, apparently. But we've got a group of studios. Studio Hermitage US. We could probably click on one of these and let's pick one at random. Let's go with Cavalli. So I don't know. There might be a whole bunch of new games here to go on the DEI detected list. Brutus, if you hear or see this, I'll tag you in a post or something after this, and got contact, how we work, whistleblowing. Our vision, actually, I wanted to look at this. Want to create the most attractive home for passionate game developers and their studios, empowering their aspirations and creativity for sustainable long-term success. Which I don't think if you're going to do anything like SBI does, that's going to be a very long-term success thing. Invest in game studios, developers, and their designs to support them in becoming. Now, it's like, I'm reading all of this. I'm going, yeah, okay, this is pretty standard corporate speak. But where does it? This is where it gets in. Being brave. We strive to act bravely in all we do, understanding that we must embrace potential setbacks on the road to success. Now, what did Kim say in that? What was Kim saying about somewhere back here? About there being barriers to... I mean, that sounds very similar to something Kim said in that XOXO talk. We choose to stand up for ourselves and others, to speak up when others are silent. Oh, yep. Nope, that's... yep. That's pretty well sealed it. Our ambition is to help more developers reach their full potential. So if you're a woman or a marginalized woman of color outside of Sweden or wherever the hell they are, I mean, it's pretty discriminatory. That's what these people are all about, though. Erasing, what was it? Gender, male and pale is stale. I think that's a Hollywood thing, but I think it pretty well applies to the gaming industry as a whole as it is these days. Amplifier, you can invest in them too. Hey, check this out. Amplifier, acquired in August 2019 by Embracer, is becoming an important vehicle for our investments to new IP developments and teams. So yeah, they're going to go pushing DEI and ESG in all of this stuff. So yeah, I would pretty well say that the studios on this list can be looked at rather suspiciously from here on out. We've got miscellaneous games from the bottom up. Frame Bunker, Denmark, Sweden, Cavalry in Sweden, Palindrome Interactive. I've heard of them somewhere before. I don't know, maybe. Sounds familiar. Tarsia Studios, Destiny Bit, Frame Break, Zappa Games, Green Tile Digital. Never heard of any of these, really. Creative Endeavor, Invisible Walls. That's an interesting name. Infinite Mana. That one's pretty cool too. Studio Hermitage. Let's click on that because they're in the US. So if anyone's heard of these guys, let me know. Studio Hermitage, based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Built around an industry leading development of experienced developers. Names. Hermitage. Okay, so yeah. Visit Hermitage. Let's go and have a look. Loading. Maybe I've got too many tabs open. Creates worlds that encourage players To live and tell and tell their own stories. Oh, like Kim. Kim would love this. We have a commitment to authenticity, production value, and a sense of literary verve. Literary verve? Literary verb. I'm a squirrel. I can't speak English very well. For every one of our brands, we invite players and audiences to take the trip alongside us. And, well, that's what a game is, and share the storytelling. And, yep, embrace a group right now. Projects, let's go have a look. Our brilliant ruin. Step into a gilded age where upstairs, downstairs drama meets existential horror. Squirrel, English, don't do it. Wow, I mean, have your legacy through everyone's rust and decay. Yeah, okay. Is there a demo for this? Is it a brilliantruin.com? Tabletop role-playing game. So it's not really... Oh, okay. No, that's just other stuff that goes along with it. Okay. Wait, what was that? Video game. Keep me posted. So it's not even out yet. Nope. Okay. I'm not going to look at that. So yeah. Well, embrace a group, ladies and gentlemen. That's the people that I wanted to talk about, and there they are. Amplifier Games. Invest. So yeah, hopefully this will get seen by someone, and I see my name all of a sudden tomorrow popping around the place going, hey, this guy's found another DEI team. Hopefully I can get big, but I don't care if I don't. I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention, and I've had a couple of people join in. Yeah, I'm really not sure what else to do with that. They've got a lot of listings here for other, what's this? This is their community hub. Why is it telling me to log in? Won't be doing that. So yeah, find them on Twitter, Amplifier Game Invest. Have a look at them. Great people, solid work, our planning. And again, well, let's have a look at this. Tab thing. Can't open it in a new tab. Copy image. I cannot. But yeah, looks real diverse there, guys. Sustainable development. Cool. This is back on their sheet, righto. Now, what do we got here? Pink hair. Animals in nature will often have bright colors to let others know of their toxicity. And again, of course, the usual, look at us, we're so good, we do this around the world. Yeah, no. So, go back to the news desk, because I think I'm pretty well finished with that bit for now. Embracer Group owned Amplifier Games. Yeah. Very possibly of the same ilk as Sweet Baby Inc., Black Girl Gamers. They're the only ones off the top of my head that I can think of, but I'm sure there's a growing list on the DEI Detected webpage. Where did I put that? So wherever I put it. Anyway. There it is. I'm going to go through it. Silent Hill 2 is on the list, and I didn't buy it. The New Life is Strange remake. State of Decay 3. Alien Rogue Incursion, yep. Zoe Quinn worked on that, I heard. Dustborn, definitely. The list grows ever longer. So, hopefully in the next week or so, we'll start to see some of the games, maybe, if they've got DEI involved in them. Hopefully Cabrutus can get on it. Yeah, usual June with Kim's self-insert right there. Oh, there's another one. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Lawless. So yeah. I am the bio-boosted squirrel from the Squirrel Desk. I'm going to get the heck out of here, and hope you guys get a hold of this and use the information as you will. I'm going to do my little... I don't really have an ending thing, so I'll do this and start moving away as I just start going quieter.